First contact. The orbital defense platform, Sentinel, hung silently above Mars, its sensors vigilantly scanning the darkness of space. Inside the command center, Captain Elise Morgan stood with her hands clasped behind her back, her tall frame casting a long shadow across the polished floor. The red planet rotated slowly beneath them, its terraformed surface now home to over 12,000 colonists. Another quiet shift, Lieutenant Dominic Reed remarked, leaning back in his chair at the monitoring station. Morgan didn't respond immediately. At 42, she had spent most of her adult life in military service, earning her reputation through brilliance in tactical simulations and 2 ground campaigns during the resource wars. Her short-cropped silver hair and the scar running along her jawline told stories her personnel file didn't cover. "Quiet is good, Lieutenant," she finally replied. "Enjoy it while it lasts." The platform's AI chimed softly. "Captain Morgan, anomalous readings detected at the edge of our sensor range." Morgan straightened. "Specify." "Energy signature inconsistent with known propulsion systems. Velocity indicates deceleration from faster-than-light travel." The command center fell silent. Humanity had yet to achieve FTL capabilities despite decades of research. "Contact Director Harrington at the colony," Morgan ordered. "Implement silent alert protocols." Reed's fingers flew across his console. "Silent alert initiated. Director Harrington acknowledges." Morgan stepped closer to the main view screen. "Magnify Sector 7. The screen zoomed in on an empty patch of space that suddenly wasn't empty anymore. A massive vessel appeared, its surface shimmering with an iridescent material unlike any human-made ship. It was shaped like a predatory sea creature, all sleek lines and deadly elegance. "That's not one of ours," Reed whispered. "And it's not alone," Morgan replied as 5 smaller vessels materialized alongside the first. The AI interrupted again. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission. Unknown origin, unknown encoding. Run it through all translation protocols. Prepare defensive systems but do not activate targeting. I want a communication channel open." Minutes passed in tense silence as the AI worked. Finally, the screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. The creature resembled a humanoid reptile with violet scales and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. When it spoke, its voice was translated into a grating, synthetic approximation of human speech. "Primitive colony world, this is Warlord Krozak of the Zenovian Empire. Your solar system has been claimed as territory of the Empire. Surrender your resources and population for processing, or be eliminated." Morgan kept her expression neutral despite the cold fear gripping her spine. "This is Captain Elise Morgan of Earth Alliance Defense. We were unaware of your Empire's existence. Perhaps we could arrange a diplomatic meeting to discuss." "There is nothing to discuss," Krozak interrupted. "You have 1 planetary rotation to surrender. Resistance will result in immediate termination." The transmission cut off abruptly. "Send everything to Earth Command," Morgan ordered. "And get me a direct line to Admiral Zhou." Within hours, the Sentinel platform buzzed with activity as additional personnel were shuttled up from the colony. Defense systems were brought to full readiness while maintaining the appearance of minimal alert status. In her private quarters, Morgan spoke with Admiral Zhou via encrypted channel. "The Security Council is split," Zhou explained, his weathered face grim on the screen. "Half want immediate surrender to buy time, the others insist we demonstrate strength." "And what does Earth Command recommend?" Morgan asked. "We're activating the Prometheus Protocol," Zhou replied. Morgan felt her breath catch. "Prometheus is still experimental. It's also our only advantage. The prototype ships are being deployed to Mars as we speak, hidden within regular supply transports. You'll command the defense force, Captain. Your experience in asymmetric warfare makes you our best hope. With respect, Admiral, experimental ships against an empire capable of FTL travel seems like poor odds." Zhou's expression hardened. The Prometheus vessels incorporate technology we recovered from the Ganymede incident. Technology we've kept secret even from our own population. Morgan leaned forward. You're saying we have alien tech? Reverse engineered and integrated with our own systems. The ships are smaller and faster than anything we've publicly acknowledged, with weapons capabilities that should surprise our visitors. Zhou paused. You're being promoted to commander effective immediately. The fate of Mars' colony, perhaps Earth itself, depends on your success. Before Morgan could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Multiple energy signatures detected. Reed's voice came through the comm. The alien vessels are moving toward the colony. Morgan rushed back to the command center, arriving just in time to see the Zenovian ships deploying smaller craft toward Mars. The attackers moved with incredible speed, their hulls reflecting the dim Martian sunlight. All personnel to battle stations, Morgan ordered. Activate defensive grid. Launch interceptors. The platform's weapon systems hummed to life as Sentinel's small complement of fighters streaked toward the incoming threat. On the view screen, Morgan watched as the first exchange of fire illuminated the darkness of space. Earth's fighters, though advanced by human standards, were clearly outmatched. Commander, Reed called out, the Zenovians are jamming our communications with the colony. Morgan's mind raced through tactical options. The Prometheus ships wouldn't arrive for at least 18 hours. Until then, they needed to buy time and minimize casualties. Target their smaller craft first, she ordered. Conserve power on the main weapons. And prepare evacuation shuttles, we may need to abandon the platform. Hours into the battle, the situation had deteriorated rapidly. Half of Sentinel's fighters had been destroyed, and the platform itself had sustained heavy damage to its outer hull. The Zenovian forces seemed to be toying with them, testing their capabilities rather than pressing for a decisive victory. In the midst of the chaos, Morgan received an unexpected transmission from Mars Colony. Director Harrington's face appeared on her personal comm unit, his expression resolute despite the visible smoke and damage behind him. Commander, we've activated the colony's emergency protocols. Civilians are being moved to the emergency shelters beneath Olympus City. Good, Morgan replied. Hold out as long as you can. Reinforcements are. That's not why I'm contacting you, Harrington interrupted. Before communications were jammed, we received a data packet from Earth. Operation Lazarus has been activated. Morgan felt her blood run cold. Lazarus was a last resort protocol, developed for scenarios where conventional defense had failed. Understood, Director. Godspeed. As the communication ended, Morgan turned to Reed. Lieutenant, I need a secure shuttle prepared immediately. Select your 5 best officers to remain on Sentinel. Everyone else evacuates to secondary positions on Phobos Station. You're abandoning the platform? Reed asked incredulously. No, Lieutenant. I'm implementing a strategic redeployment. Morgan's eyes hardened. And I'm giving the Zenovians something they don't expect. Within the hour, evacuation shuttles streamed away from Sentinel toward Mars' smaller moon. The Zenovians, seemingly confident in their overwhelming advantage, allowed the evacuations to proceed while continuing their methodical attack on the platform's defenses. Aboard her command shuttle, Morgan received confirmation that the remaining skeleton crew had implemented the final phase of her plan. Sentinel's reactor had been set to overload, but not before its main computer downloaded a carefully crafted data package into the Zenovian network, a package containing false intelligence about Earth's military capabilities, exaggerated to suggest a far more formidable force than actually existed. As Morgan's shuttle disappeared into Phobos' shadow, Sentinel erupted in a blinding explosion that temporarily disabled the sensors on the nearest Zenovian vessels. In the confusion that followed, the first of Earth's secret Prometheus ships slipped undetected into the Martian system. From her new command center inside Phobos Station, Morgan watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. The true battle was just beginning, and the Zenovians had no idea they'd just hunted the wrong human. Their pursuit of Morgan would lead them into a trap carefully designed to exploit their arrogance, a trap that would demonstrate humanity's most potent weapon wasn't technology, but adaptability. Prepare for Phase 2, she ordered as reports of Zenovian landing parties on Mars began to come in. And may God have mercy on them, because we won't. The hunted. Phobos station trembled as another Zenovian scout ship passed overhead, its sensors sweeping the moon's cratered surface. Commander Elise Morgan hunched over the holographic display, studying the movements of the alien fleet now orbiting Mars. Behind her, the remnants of her command staff worked frantically to establish a secure communication network using the station's outdated equipment. "They're methodical," observed Major Victor Kaito, Morgan's newly appointed second-in-command. A former Special Forces operative with extensive experience in guerrilla warfare, Kaito had been stationed on Phobos as part of a classified research team. His dark eyes narrowed as he analyzed the enemy's search pattern. "But they're looking in all the wrong places." Morgan nodded. "They expect us to hide among the civilian population in the colony. Classic occupation strategy: find the military leadership, eliminate resistance, establish control." "Too bad they don't understand human psychology," Kaito remarked with a grim smile. "We're at our most dangerous when cornered." The command center door slid open, admitting Dr. Nadia Volkov, her lab coat stained with hydraulic fluid. The Russian physicist had been the lead scientist on the Prometheus project, her brilliant mind responsible for successfully integrating the recovered alien technology with human systems. "Commander, the first Prometheus vessel has arrived," she announced, brushing a strand of auburn hair from her face. "Captain Ortega has established position behind Deimos and awaits your orders." Morgan straightened. "How many more ships can we expect?" 3 more within 12 hours, assuming they maintain stealth protocols and avoid detection." Volkov handed Morgan a data tablet. "These are the weapon specifications. The phase-shift torpedoes are our primary advantage, they'll bypass conventional shields and detonate inside the target vessels." Morgan studied the specifications, her expression betraying nothing of the hope blossoming in her chest. The torpedoes utilized principles of quantum tunneling to pass through solid matter, a technology humanity had been struggling to perfect for decades. "What about the neural disruptors?" she asked. Volkov grimaced. "Untested against Zenovian physiology. They worked on the specimens recovered from Ganymede, but these aliens appear to be a different species entirely." "We'll adapt," Morgan said firmly. "Major Kaito, assemble a strike team. I want our best infiltration specialists. We need to capture one of their soldiers, alive." Meanwhile, aboard the Zenovian flagship Void Reaper, Warlord Krozak stood before a gathering of his elite hunters. The chamber was dimly lit, illuminated primarily by the bioluminescent patterns adorning the warrior's ceremonial armor. "The humans have proven more resourceful than anticipated," Krozak declared, his 4 eyes scanning the assembled warriors. "Their defensive capabilities, while primitive, suggest potential value as more than mere laborers." From among the hunters stepped forward Vexenar, leader of the famed Shadow Talon squad. His scales bore the distinctive purple-black coloration of the highest warrior caste. "My warlord," Vexenar rasped, "grant my talons the honor of this hunt. We will bring you the human leadership, still breathing, for proper examination." Krozak gestured to a holographic display showing Captain Morgan's image, captured during the initial contact. "Intelligence identifies this female as their primary commander. Her tactical decisions during our assault demonstrate unusual adaptability for such a primitive species." Vexenar studied the image, mandibles clicking with anticipation. "An excellent specimen. The hunt will be glorious. Do not underestimate these creatures," warned Krozak. "Our preliminary scans indicate genetic modification potential. Some individuals show enhanced capabilities." "All the more reason for a proper hunt," Vexenar replied, his voice thick with the cultural reverence the Zenovians held for pursuing worthy prey. "My talons will deploy immediately." As the hunters departed to prepare, Science Officer Zek Zal approached the warlord, her more slender form marking her as a member of the knowledge caste. "Warlord, I must express concern," she said quietly. "The human communications we intercepted before they went silent contained encrypted data patterns inconsistent with their apparent technological level." Krozak turned his attention to the science officer. "Explain." "Their visible technology suggests they should be at least 3 centuries from achieving quantum phase manipulation, yet the encryption algorithms in their transmissions incorporate quantum principles we've only mastered within the last millennium." The warlord's upper eyes narrowed. Could they have received outside assistance? The Arcturians have been known to violate non-interference protocols. "Possible, but unlikely," Zexal replied. "The implementation is crude, suggesting indigenous development rather than gifted technology. I recommend caution until we understand the full extent of their capabilities." Krozak dismissed the concern with a gesture. "The Shadow Talons will provide us with answers. Prepare the examination chambers for the specimens they return." Back on Phobos, Morgan's hastily assembled team prepared for their dangerous mission. The group consisted of 8 specialists, each selected for specific skills essential to their objective. Lieutenant Farhad Nasser, an expert in xenolinguistics, studied the limited recordings of Zenovian communications, attempting to identify patterns. "Their language structure suggests a highly hierarchical society," Nasser explained as the team gathered in the station's armory. "Subordinates never initiate communication with superiors, and their combat orders follow ritualistic patterns. If we can mimic these patterns, we might be able to create momentary confusion." Morgan nodded approvingly. "Good. What about their technology, Dr. Volkov?" The physicist activated a holographic display showing scans of the Zenovian vessels. "Their ships utilize a propulsion system based on gravitational manipulation, similar to theories our scientists proposed decades ago but could never implement. Their weapons are primarily energy-based, with some form of accelerated particle beams that can superheat and penetrate our conventional armors." "And our countermeasures?" asked technical specialist Owen Jackson, a burly man whose expertise in adapting equipment had saved countless lives during the resource wars. Volkov gestured to the modified combat suits arranged along the wall. "These have been augmented with components from the Prometheus project. The outer layer incorporates energy-dispersing nanomaterials that should provide some protection against their weapons. Not invulnerability, but better than standard issue." Jackson examined one of the suits, whistling softly. "This is bleeding-edge tech. Never seen anything like it." "That's because officially, it doesn't exist," Morgan replied. "Like us, as of 12 hours ago." The grim reality of their situation settled over the room. According to official channels, everyone present had been listed as casualties of the initial attack. This administrative death gave them operational freedom but also meant they were truly on their own. "Our insertion window opens in 3 hours, Major Kaito announced, bringing the briefing back to immediate concerns. "We'll use maintenance tunnels beneath Olympus City to approach their landing zone. Intelligence suggests they've established a forward operating base in the terraforming control center." As the team continued preparations, Morgan retreated to the communications center, where Lieutenant Reed had established a tenuous connection with Earth Command. "Admiral Zhou reports that global mobilization is underway," Reed informed her. "But public panic is spreading. The lunar colonies are demanding evacuation, and there have been riots in several major cities." Morgan frowned. "The Prometheus ships?" 17 vessels operational, including the 4 en route to Mars. "The rest are being positioned to defend Earth." "Not enough," Morgan murmured. "Not nearly enough." "There's more," Reed continued. "The Security Council has authorized Operation Sunburst." Morgan's expression hardened. Sunburst was a doomsday protocol, the deployment of experimental antimatter weapons designed to create a chain reaction that would effectively obliterate an entire planet. It had been developed as a theoretical deterrent, never intended for actual use. "Timeline?" she asked quietly. 72 hours if we can't demonstrate a viable alternative strategy." Morgan processed this information silently, the weight of responsibility pressing down upon her shoulders. Millions of colonists still remained on Mars, hidden in underground shelters. Earth was preparing to sacrifice them all to prevent the Zenovians from establishing a foothold in the solar system. Understood, she finally said. Maintain communication protocols. Inform Admiral Zhou that we're proceeding with Operation Speartip. As Reed returned to his station, Morgan stared at the tactical display, watching the alien ships methodically searching the Martian surface. Her plan was audacious, perhaps even foolhardy: capture a Zenovian commander, access their ship's database, and discover a weakness that could be exploited before Earth resorted to sunburst. 3 hours later, Morgan's infiltration team gathered at Phobos Station's maintenance airlock. Each member wore the modified combat suits, their faces grim with determination. Remember, Morgan addressed them, our primary objective is intelligence gathering. We need to understand what we're facing. Secondary objective is capturing a command-level officer. Engage only when necessary, and maintain communication silence unless absolutely critical. Major Kaito stepped forward, checking his weapon one final time. The modified transport is ready, Commander. Stealth systems are online. Morgan nodded. Let's move. As the team boarded the transport, an alarm suddenly blared throughout the station. Lieutenant Reed's voice came urgently over the comm system. Commander. Multiple contacts approaching Phobos. They've changed their search pattern, they're heading directly for our position. Morgan rushed to the transport sensor display. 6 Zenovian vessels were rapidly approaching the moon, their trajectory leaving no doubt about their destination. How did they find us? Jackson demanded. Dr. Volkov paled. The power signature from the Prometheus modifications. We didn't have time to fully mask the energy output. Change of plans, Morgan announced, her mind racing through possibilities. They're hunting us now. So let's give them a proper hunt. She activated her tactical display, highlighting a series of locations across Mars' surface. Major Kaito, take half the team and proceed to Olympus City as planned. Lieutenant Nasser, you and Dr. Volkov remain here with technical specialist Jackson. Make it look like you're evacuating, leave an obvious trail toward Deimos. And you, Commander? Kaito asked, already knowing the answer. Morgan checked her modified sidearm. I'm taking specialists Flynn and Wilson to the surface. We'll create a diversion, make them think I'm heading for Earth to coordinate a counterattack. You're making yourself bait, Volkov realized. I'm giving them what they want, Morgan corrected. Every military strategist knows you target command and control first. They want me. Let's use that. As the teams separated, Morgan's small group boarded a second transport, one deliberately lacking the advanced modifications of the first. As they prepared to launch, Reed's voice came through once more. Commander, we're detecting a specialized craft launching from the Zenovian flagship. Energy signatures suggest it's designed for atmospheric entry and ground operations. Hunters, Morgan said grimly. Elite troops sent to capture high-value targets. On board the Shadow Talon's hunter craft, Vexenar received the update from his scouts. The human commander has been located on the small moon. Prepare for immediate deployment. His second-in-command, Trazeke, adjusted the settings on his capture equipment. Shall we take all survivors, hunt leader? No, Vexenar replied, mandibles spreading in what passed for a smile among his kind. The warlord specified the commander. The rest are practice. As Morgan's transport detached from Phobos Station and accelerated toward the Martian surface, she watched the tactical display showing the incoming Zenovian hunters. Everything depended on timing now, drawing the hunters away from the station long enough for Kaito's team to complete their mission, while surviving long enough herself to gather critical intelligence. They're changing course, reported Specialist Flynn, a former fighter pilot whose reflexes had earned her multiple commendations. They're following us. Morgan nodded grimly. Good. Take us into the dust storm near Valles Marineris. We'll use the electromagnetic interference to mask our landing. As their transport plunged toward the angry red surface of Mars, Morgan steeled herself for what was to come. The hunters were pursuing her, just as she had planned. Now she would show these alien predators that they had made a fatal error, they had hunted the wrong human. In the swirling dust storms of Mars, the deadly game of cat and mouse was about to begin. Retriclaude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.